everybody. I am loving hearing all of the taglines. I'm going to ask for some volunteers. I'm going to ask if we can get some brave souls to stand up and share their tagline. Okay, I see some hands going up. Yes, let's share our taglines.
Basically, going with the F's from the standpoint of providing IT tech support, customer service, and so what I said was, I achieve. I can't read my writing. So I help organizations achieve outstanding customer service by de-escalating end-user frustrations through excellent communications and highly competent skill sets.
Yes, you do. Yes. All right, who do we have next? Yes.
Students of English achieve confidence. Oh, sorry. I help students of English achieve confidence and improvement through modeling it.
Yes. Thank you.
I was going to do it based on. I was going to do it based on training and development or animal rights, but the interview went pretty good, so I'm kind of in that headspace. So I said I help students achieve self-respect, positivity, and the desire that they can be empowered in society by showing I listen to them, care, trust, love, and they know that no matter how tough their life is, it'll get better even if they've been in this state their whole life. Mental health, I can help solve them with that.
Wow. Thank you. That's great.
I help human services nonprofits sustain and build revenue by using my strong communication skills to turn complex program activity into grant proposals and reports that inspire action and engagement.
Woo. Okay, yes.
I should be able to just talk. I help engineers work more efficient and effective by improving and maintaining programs, interfaces, and data that they need.
Yes. Yes. Right? Thank you all so much for doing this activity. Hopefully these are anchors for you moving forward. And then what you can do. Thank you so much for the exercise. Yeah.
Alrighty, so building confidence. Remember, confidence was one of the biggest words that showed up on the word cloud, and so here's some tips. It's a internal to external expression. Internally, you got to ground yourself. You got to get those nerves out. Part of that is knowing who you are and what you bring to the table. Builds confidence through practice when you do this. So what does it look like? Maybe you're preparing structured stories, which we're going to talk about, visualizing the outcomes. Whatever it is, you just kind of got to get your game face on. You got to get ready. Your tools for responses, know what those are. Is it PAR? Is it STAR? Is it something else? Whatever it is, know it and be able to retrieve it as quickly as you can. Your voice, your body language, all of that is being looked at as well. They may not score it specifically, but it may impact what they do and or do not write down about you. So how you project your voice, how you show up professionally, dressed in attire that's appropriate for the job that you have, all of that's gonna matter. It's gonna convey confidence, whether it's spoken or nonverbal. How you respond to hard questions. And I have a quick story. It's very long, but I'm gonna cut it to like less than a minute. Recently, I interviewed for a position. It would have been a lateral move, but I was excited because the role would have provided me with an opportunity to train 70% of my role instead of 5 to 10% now. So I was, and I had a performance task. I had to do a presentation at the beginning, and they provided a rubric, so rubrics are good, and I followed the rubric, but I overdid it. I created this whole storyline. I created a scenario. I just did too much. So I didn't get through my presentation in the 10 minutes. And that's big. And I knew it was big. However, I tried to be strategic. It didn't work, which was later because they said that the presentation was question 1, and they said at the end, well, you have extra time. Is there a question you want to go back to? Of course, question 1, the presentation that I didn't finish. And I didn't go back up, and I didn't try to represent. All I did was try to fill in the pieces of what would have happened had I finished. But it's like fumbling a football. The other team got the ball. There was no recovery from it. So I licked my wounds because that's what I do. I reflected on it, and then I chose to do something different that I hadn't done in a long time, which is I reached out to the hiring manager to ask if she would be willing to sit down with me and to help me to understand what they saw. And I'm going to read this part because this part mattered because these were her words. This is what they saw. She had heard great things about me based on my first interview. But guess what? That didn't come into my second one. I had a clean slate. And she was looking forward to my presentation. She noticed that I had confidence immediately when I walked into the room and when I began my presentation. She also noticed a sharp shift when I realized that I wasn't going to finish. You know how you're like, oh, yeah, she saw all that. And then, even though I answered every question well, they never saw me regain full confidence. Right? Because I was in my head. I couldn't go back. It was done. It was in the past, and I needed to stay in the present. And I failed to do that. So, everything that we do along the way prepares us for this. It starts with managing the nerves, and when we prepare, we're able to show up confident in our external expression. So now, we're going to move forward with behavior interviews. Yes.
Hi everyone. As Blanca mentioned earlier, during an interview, you'll most likely be asked behavioral type questions like describe a time when you faced a challenge or how to leave a team. Behavioral questions are a great way for employers to evaluate all the candidates consistently. They are used because they are the best predictor of how you're going to perform in the future, because employers they want to know how you're going to think and communicate and approach challenges before you're in the job. And the great thing about behavioral questions is they're great opportunities for you to really stand out, because you can show them how you've overcome real life scenarios instead of just talking about hypothetical situations. So the best way to tackle these types of questions is by answering them by using the STAR method. The STAR method is, by using the STAR method, you'll be able to answer questions and provide clear, organized answers so that they're easy for the interviewer to follow, and you can provide enough details to set you apart from all the other candidates. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. The situation step involves describing the context or background. What was happening, when and where was it, and what challenge were you facing? For the task step, that involves describing the specific responsibilities or issues that you faced. What was your specific role, and what goal were you responsible for, and what actually needed to be done? The action step involves describing the steps or processes that you took to address the task or issue. What did you do? What steps did you take? And what decisions did you make? And how did you actually handle those? And the last step is the results step, and that involves describing the outcomes or results of your actions. What was the outcome in the end? What did you meet your goal? Did you learn anything? And if you can, try to quantify it. Was there time saved, or did you improve a situation or make an impact? And you can see down at the bottom that we have it broken down by the percentage of how much you should spend on each step when you're giving your answer. And you can see that the bulk of your answer should be about the action step, because remember, this is your time to shine. As Nikki was saying, avoid using we or my team. This is how you demonstrated your skills, and you want to focus on those achievements. And most importantly, try to tie it back to what positions you're applying for. Did you learn any new skills or insights that's going to help you with the new position that you're trying to get? And now I'm going to pass it to Rhiannon.
Over again? Okay. Okay, so a situation for my work as an accounting associate is I process travel claims. The controller's office wants us to have them turned in within 30 days of returning, and we were going months out sometimes. A part of assessing the travel claims is getting all the correct documentation from the traveler, and a lot of times they were forgetting it or overlooking it. So my task or responsibility was to improve the workflow. What can I do to get these people to get things turned in, and then have myself process all of it? So what I did was I developed a Microsoft Power app, and I set up automated email reminders to all of the travelers so they wouldn't miss these key deadlines, and I could ensure that they were aware of it. Along with that, I also created a tracking system that was visible to the whole department to provide visibility, and so everyone could see where their request was at or their travel claim in the process. And for myself, I created weekly check-ins where I reviewed where everybody was at. The results were we reduced delays by about 30% and cut submission time from around 60 days to 34 days. Notice a few things about my answer. It was clear, it was structured, and most importantly, it focused on specific actions and results. This same story can be used for process improvement or communications questions also in an interview. Now in your workbook, you have a STAR activity. Because we're short on time, we're not going to do it in class, but I do urge you outside of class to take a look at it. You can build your story bank here. So come up with your ideas of situations that you think could really hit home in an interview. Match those stories to what kind of questions. And then on the next page, you can break down each step of the STAR method. So what was happening? What did you do specifically? What were the results? And like Jenny said, quantitative data is very effective in interview. And then we want you to try to make it sound natural, because whenever you're writing these stories, it's easy to sound robotic. So you want to really focus on practicing making it sound natural and really showing yourself. And then how to adapt these stories for different questions. Most situations can be adapted for leadership, problem solving, teamwork. My story about the travel claims, I worked with our team to improve their efficiency. And that is it. So now I will pass it to Blanca. Yes. Did I go the right way?
I just had a question about revisiting the same situation or a different behavior. Like if you had been asked, tell me about a time you had like a confrontation with a coworker or client or something, and say it, you were thinking, oh, someone that was late to turn in their voucher.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay to use the same situation? Because sometimes I feel like I have to like pull
I can tell you,
new experience out of a hat,
Yes, I faced this in my last interview because the whole travel thing had been such a hot topic. When I went into a new interview for a promotion, it was really all I could think about. Like, I was blind to everything else. And because we use a scoring matrix, they're not scoring on how different your responses are from one another. So I did use that same situation over and over and over. And by the end of the interview, I was like, I know I keep talking about the same thing. I'm so sorry. And they're like, no, you're answering our questions perfectly. You're giving us the information we needed. And I did get the job. So it worked. I know it worked.
Because I think I put too much pressure on myself to make something
Yes.
new when it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, you can really work on honing 2 to 3. And as long as you know all the details, you can adjust it for different kinds of questions. I did the same thing as Rhiannon for my interview, my last interview, and I used the same example twice in my interview, but I answered different questions, but it was all the same details, just focused on different aspects to answer, the specific question.
And I think it shows your knowledge and your experience in that too. Like, you really know what you're talking about to where you can relate it to all these different things. You're not, you know.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Yes.
Here was one that got me my last interview. I was like, he said, what makes you the best candidate for the job? And I'm thinking, I don't even know if I want this job. That's what I was thinking, because my thing with interviews is I'm so busy assessing the culture, the supervisor, what they say, what I think their attitude might be as manager toward their staff. I'm thinking, do I want to work here? Is that weird? I mean, to other people.
You're interviewing them.
Right, because I've had bosses who were actually abusive. So I guess I'm kind of like, I want to make sure I don't end up in another situation like that. My answer to his question was, I don't know that I'm the best candidate for this position. Honestly, I said, because I don't know who else you're interviewing. But I do know that I am willing to and have in the past learned new systems and processes. And it's the field I've been working in for 5 years, and I have the experience to build up from there. But the whole time I'm thinking, do I want to work here?
Well, it's good that you realize, like, maybe I'm losing 1 hour instead of years of a job that you might.
Sounds cynical, but honestly,
Yeah. Sometimes you have to invest an hour that may not be long term. So, good for you for having that assessment. Any other questions before we move on?
Patricia and I were noticing, like, with education and counseling, I've never seen it in something like this. So that was kind of interesting because us it is stories, and you have to say different ones. So I think it depends on what interview you're asking about. That in the same interview, if it's a rubric, yeah. But for me, I have different stories, and I learned the STAR method in the career class this summer. I wish we could have it there. And I try to do that, but so it depends on what type of interview you're having.
I was gonna say, just to your example, I would just suggest like not repeating the negative again, because I feel like
Yes.
this is the common thing with like journalists, where like they'll be leading in a question, and you want to try not to repeat their question or to like say it as a negative, but like stick to your point, which is like I would be like either if you consider me or if you hire me, I will do my best. I'll excel in this position, rather than say I don't think I would I don't know that will be the best. Be like, if you hire me,
I
will.
did that to throw him, honestly.
Yeah.
You were having fun.
Trying not to be negative. Yeah.
Because they don't forget that. They don't forget you in a good way.
Yeah.
It works.
So like, if given the opportunity, like I will excel in this position with X, Y, Z. Because you may not really want it, do
Yes.
and say like, but I would really kick butt at this job, even though I may not love it.
Lisa?
And also adding on to that question, when you go to most interviews, that's typically something, they ask you something along those lines, like what makes you the best candidate? It may be phrased differently, but it's all kind of leading to that question. So for me, for my interviews, I'm already prepared with that question. Like I already answered that in my head, and that's how I land my interview. Basically, is what I'm saying, like at the end, they may ask you, is there anything you have any questions on, anything else you want to tell us? Use that to kind of land, you know, like she was saying also, like, if I get this job, I will and summarize all the stuff that you talked about in your interview, like what makes you the best candidate, what skills you already have. So kind of already have that prepared in your head, so that at the end you can use that as your answering to stick it, so that they do remember you in a positive way, and you're already prepared with that one question.
Okay. So we have covered a lot of skills that we can apply to the mock interview. Even if you are not signed up for a mock interview today, I want to emphasize the importance of doing a mock interview, whether it is by yourself and you're recording yourself in a room so you can see what others are seeing. Like something that I had to work on sometimes is my happy hands, and I'd have to calm them down, bring them down to earth a little bit because they were just like flying about. And it helped me, like you also don't want to just like be stiff, but get a balance so that you're natural, but you're not distracting them. You want to make sure that you are prepared, that you know what you're practicing, find out what the framework of your interview is. When you're having your mock interview, you want to treat it like the real thing. Don't just do it in your head, because how you sound in your head and how you actually speak is so different. The timing is different. The intonation is different. You might sound super confident in your head, and as soon as you're in front of other people and you start to speak, you're like, oh my gosh, why do I sound so trembly? This helps you get it out of your system and practice it. You also want to practice timing. As I mentioned earlier, when you are preparing for your interview, find out how much time will you have. Ask how many questions will they ask you. They're not going to tell you what questions, but it gives you a sense of how much time you need to prepare for each question. And then after, ask for feedback. You can follow up with the hiring manager to ask them, when can I follow up with you to ask for feedback? If you're ever applying for any government job, you can absolutely ask for the exact packet of feedback that you received, because it is open to open government, and you just have to submit a request. It's really great. It's a little tough. I had one interview that was very humbling. I saw basic and I was like, I'm basic. And I asked for feedback. What the basic comments were is that I wasn't following the STAR method. I didn't score the matrix, so I met the basic requirements, even though I had the skill set. And after I learned that and I practiced it, I really utilized the mock interview process. I blew it out of the water for my last one. Yes.
Yeah, just to do that open reference request, but just would like to have you keep in mind that you're creating more work for the hiring supervisor, because they have to dig through their notes, and you become been labeled as salty applicant because you're creating more work for them.
No, I don't think you should look at it that way at all, because this is public records are public for transparency. It is not creating more work. The hiring manager isn't the one who's they have to do that work anyway. It's already done. It is something that exists and is available. So I highly encourage you not to feel hesitant to make more work. It is absolutely your right as a candidate and as a resident and citizen.
Can I just add that, the stories that we tell ourselves multiple job postings that we post for. So there's not, I just would say, like, I would challenge that narrative a little bit. So, because it's, yeah.
Will you
1970.
Yeah.
No, the dinosaurs was here. I'm talking
Thank you, Brenda.
No, well, that's how the city
Like,
is
you
going
get
to
it, Mark,
pay.
if you go over 2 pages, is that okay?
It doesn't,
The
it's
city-
fine, it's fine.
So I'm speaking of something different. The application. So when you find your ideal position and you've researched it and you see what skill sets you should be highlighting from your experience, when you're putting in your jobs, make sure that if you've done the work that ties back to that job description, that you put it in some of your bullet points along the way. They're going to be looking through, counting up, and I don't know how that works, but just know, go back to when the dinosaurs were on the earth.
So can I just it's important to understand why we're looking for all of your relevant experience, because the city does zoning, they pay you by zones, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so and then the job will say that you have to have 10 years experience, plus a degree, plus whatever. We're gonna subtract those 10 years. So if you only have 20 years experience, we've already subtracted 10 of those years. That was a minimum requirement to get your foot in the door. So then you're gonna get paid off of the zone, and I know this is a little all over the place, but that is how the city pays. So you need to add every single relevant experience that you have, because we're trying to maximize your pay. And this is at the city, similar to other government jobs, not all government jobs, but at the city of Austin, that is your one time to set your pay rate. Because after that, unless you promote into another job, you're only gonna get, if the city gives across the board increases every year of 2 to 3%, that's the only increase you're gonna get, because we don't do pay for performance. So that's your one shot to get your money right, is in that initial offer process, and you need to put in all of your experience.
And that includes part-time,
All of
paid
it.
or unpaid, internships.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So for a lengthy resume that would reflect all that would be okay for the city?
Yeah, the
'Cause
city's
it's
okay
kind of
with
against
that.
the law,
Yeah.
have more than 2 pages with private sector
Well, there's
jobs.
no law against that, but yes.
Also, how do you guys feel about LinkedIn? Do you have to be on LinkedIn? I mean,
No, we don't care about social media, unless you're a are you public information?
Yes.
So unless you have a public information job that you're applying for, or you're doing some kind of like outward facing job that your social media would count, we don't care, we're not looking at it at all.
Okay, so it does, for that role, it wouldn't matter, you don't need to have it on the resume.
We don't care about it.
And then also you mentioned resume, keep in mind, especially with the city, some of the jobs don't even ask for a resume or a
Yeah.
cover letter.
Yeah.
So when you guys are doing your applications, when you're answering the questions, it needs to be multiple lines. If you're doing 1 or 2 lines, you're not answering the questions
Yeah.
to the best of your
Yeah.
ability. I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Lisa. I'm also with these groups. I work for Austin Police Department. So, you know. So yeah, so make sure when you're answering city questions, it should be a paragraph. Because when they determine your pay, they're looking at the application, and that's what they're basing it on, is your application.
That's kind of the opposite of the private sector.
Exactly, and that's what messes most people up, because they're like, oh, I answer the question 2 sentences, because that's what I do. They don't wanna read all the other stuff in the private sector, but for the city and more local governments, they want paragraph answers.
Yeah.
Not bullets.
Not so much bullets. You can do, not so much bullets, but more of the paragraph answers, so that you can lay everything out. Like, tell us your whole dinosaur age story, whatever it may be.
Well,
That's
here's
what
the
we're looking for, 'cause we want that, we want you guys to get the pay that you deserve.
Yeah.
So tell us everything.
Okay.
Awesome.
When it mentions like a range of pay, how should we read that the top number is it? That's
Yeah,
cut off?
the range of pay matters, because if we're probably gonna ask you when we call you to schedule an interview, we're gonna say, this is the range of pay. Do you understand that? Because a lot of times people come to the table and they think it's a negotiating thing, and this isn't the civilian sector. So we don't have we have a set budget, and the set budget is the set budget. We're not really gonna be able to.
How do they decide
So
which?
based off of your years of experience.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
gonna
that
be,
fits in
so that's
anyway.
what, right, so that's, your years of experience is gonna get you a higher pay zone. And that's gonna and we can only go like, at Austin Water, and each of these guys are in different departments.
Right.
Because we're an enterprise department, we go to the top of pay zones, other departments don't do that, but everyone's a little different.
And also with the range of pay, something else that we might have happened to be, like, they have a set pay range, but again, I answer my questions in paragraph form,
For the, you can find the full, there's only 4 pay zones, and there is a way to go above, because what they publish on the job posting is the range of pay, but it's not the top of the pay zone, it's the range of pay, right? So, but if you look up online, like pay zones, because this is all public information, you can find what the top of that pay range is. But they're gonna give you the median pay range when they advertise it. It's not gonna be hugely different, I just wanna tell you, like $1 to $2 an hour difference.
So final point on that, if we are going back to the dinosaur age,
Yeah.
obviously we probably had different jobs, different roles, different
Yeah,
career
yeah.
types. Is that gonna count against us?
No,
Right,
it
yeah, you
doesn't.
used to wait tables back in the day, now
No.
you're a
No,
computer
if
guy.
you're applying for a customer service job, you wanna see your customer service.
Okay, so-
If your job has a component
Mhm.
that could be from that time that you did that, we wanna
We
hear
have to
about
do the
it.
one more word cloud. One more? Yes, one more word cloud, and then we're done wrapping up, yeah.
HR department is let us decide what is applicable and what is relevant.
Just put it all in there.
Exactly,
Yeah.
just put it
Okay.
all, if it's all
Okay.
in there.
And-
then
Because
there's
that's so
no-
different from the private sector.
Yeah, but, and we'll also come, so if you ever got to the point where you're being extended an offer,
Mhm.
we're gonna also ask you, is this everything? We're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
ask you.
You can add at that point.
Because we're trying to give you the best outcome that we can give
Good to
you.
know.
Right,
Good to know.
so,
Mhm.
we're gonna, and ask questions all throughout the process.
And the city uses Workday. So Workday is going to be the platform you can put everything in there, and you can apply for multiple jobs across the city through that one platform, Workday. And for all the IT folks, Austin Technology Services does not ask for a resume or a cover letter. It's all just through your application in Workday. So yeah, they don't even allow it. They don't allow it.
Well,
So
some of them won't allow you to put.
it's just from your application of all.
Have it for the,
Yeah,
for the
different
event.
departments do different, are allowed, but we have a general policy and procedure that there's certain touch points that we
Mhm.
all have to do
Mhm.
at the city. But something like a resume and cover letter, certainly some people don't want to, they just want the application.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that they also, if you don't fill out the application correctly, they're gonna
Yeah.
take you out of the running.
Oh, wow.
Because
Yeah.
you didn't fill it out. So read the instructions, do it correctly.
Know that your application matters more than your resume.
Yeah.
That is our
Oh, really?
official
Okay.
document that.
You know what,
anybody-
let's take these questions offline, and then I'm gonna go ahead and finish your presentation.
Sure.
So we can wrap this up.
Okay.
I think that's great idea. How many of you in this room are part of the mock interviews?
Like
Okay,
9
so
people.
we have 3. I think we had 8 people
No.
Yeah, it's
registered.
not 8 or 9 people.
Yeah,
Eight or
no.
nine.
So they're not here?
I don't know.
Some may come after, just
Oh, okay.
for that.
Okay, and just so that you know, if you are scheduled for a mock interview, we have a lunch for you real quick.
Perfect.
Got pizza coming.
So just as we started off in the same sentiment with the word cloud, we're going to end with a word cloud. So let's go ahead and in one word, tell us how you feel about going into an interview after the training you received today. So go ahead and use your phones to do this QR code, or go to menti.com and go ahead and use that code number 2402-7958. We'll leave this screen up for about a minute so everybody can do this, and we'll do a collective word cloud again. Everybody. We're eager to see if the word cloud has shifted from the beginning. Perfect, yes. Oop, I don't want to be in the way of the QR code. All right. Looks like everybody has their phones up, so I think we can go to the next screen. Thank you, sir. Perfect. And we'll go to the post event. And then it's start presentation.
On Wednesday the 8th. Wednesday the 8th.
April 8th.
There we go.
So familiar.
Yeah, there it goes. Perfect. All right, let's see our word cloud. All right, we see confidence. Wait, no, this is the first one. No, this is the first one. Sorry, we got to go to the other one. I'm like, All right, maybe we can do escape. Perfect. And post-event, that's the one. And we'll go ahead and start that one. All right, let's see what we all said here. Prepared. Whoop, whoop! Comfortable, encouraged, kick ass. Focused, knowledgeable, confident, motivated. Wow, you guys.
Yes. Wow.
Planning, inspired. These are just, I'm sorry, I'm getting the feels. You guys go out there and shine and do you, because there's nobody else like you in this whole world. Don't stop till you get enough.